Good morning. Thank you for joining us this beautiful morning and welcome to Lehman College of the City University of New York. I'm Renee Rotolo, Vice President of Administration and Finance at Lehman, and I am honored to be here today with Senator Biaggi and several of our partners in sustainability in the Bronx, including the New York City Composting Project, hosted by the New York Botanical Garden and the New York City Department of Sanitation. Our composting program was launched in 1996 and has only grown since then. That growth, which will continue because of the capital funding that is being announced today, would not be possible without the innovative leadership of Senator Biaggi, our partners, and the Lehman College administration. It requires vision and commitment to create a successful program like this one and to continue it, to nurture it, to ensure it grows and continues to evolve. It's my honor to introduce to you the individual whose support, commitment, and leadership has been essential to this program. Ladies and gentlemen, Lehman College President Daniel Lemons.
Thank you, Renee, and welcome to everyone. Good morning. I haven't felt this alive for a long time. Welcome to Senator Biaggi and her staff, and I don't know, is Miguel here?
No, I don't think so.
Miguel is not here. Miguel Rondon, but he is a Lehman College alum.
That's right.
And major member of her staff. So I wanted to acknowledge him, and Aaron Busca, who is the Vice President for Government Relations with the New York Botanical Garden. Where are you, Aaron? Hanging out in the back. And Jody Colon, who is with the New York City Composting Project. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Ilona Linens, who is our Director of Office of Environmental Health and Safety. And also Sandy Chaitin, who's sitting right here, who's our Special Assistant for Government Relations. So welcome to all of you, those folks, and all of the rest of you. Thank you for coming. Some of you know that I, up until recently, was an elected municipal official, and my area that I covered in that role was sustainability and the environment. So I had the opportunity to lead a number of projects: solar energy production, electric vehicle charging, woods restoration, and composting. So I'm very excited to be at Lehman College, a place where this is also a priority and where we have such great projects underway. Tria Case is the University Executive Director for Sustainability and Energy Conservation. She couldn't be here this morning, but she sent her congratulations for the achievements of Lehman in the composting program, and she said, "The composting program has been a great example of what's possible across our campuses. I'm hoping that we can support increased composting across CUNY this year." This is one more way in which Lehman College is really leading in the university, and it makes me feel very proud of us for doing that. And of course, our ability to continue to lead it and to expand the impact is thanks to now Senator Biaggi and her generous capital funding of $340,000, which will go to the expansion of this facility. Key to this, really and often unnoticed, are the efforts of Vice President Rotolo, who is always very reluctant to get up front and accept the praise, but deserves a great deal. And many of her efforts really do go unnoticed, but she's been a real champion of sustainability on this campus and in the university. So because of her efforts, when CUNY started a sustainability award in 2008, Lehman College was the first recipient of that award. You also may not know that we've actually been composting here at Lehman College for a long time, since 1996. So food waste has been composted since 2009, and in the last 3 years, the cafeteria food waste has been added to that, and that's also been composted. This is a 37-acre campus, and when you look around, you can look at these trees, and you can probably imagine that there are 35 tons of leaves that come down off of those trees every year, 11 tons of lawn clippings, 3 tons of tree shrubs, and 2.5 tons of wood chips that all go into that composting stream. 9 tons of food waste per year from the campus. And we give away about 1.3 tons of the compost that results from that to gardens all around the Bronx. And rest assured, the Cornell Extension has tested it and given it top grade quality. So we're giving out good stuff. So this capital funding is going to allow us to expand both the use of that compost on campus and also to increase the use of that compost around community gardens in the Bronx. I just found out that LaGuardia College, Community College, is starting an urban farm. And so I mentioned to President Arcario, maybe we can do an exchange of compost for veggies. He thought that was a good idea. So to circle around, we are very happy and proud at Lehman College to be launching this expansion. You know, we all understand very well that we're in the middle of a climate crisis, which is really unprecedented. It is really the challenge of this century. It is going to supersede all other challenges that we are facing, and one of the very real consequences of it is going to be the impact on the most vulnerable and disadvantaged here and around the world. This is not going to solve that problem, but this is one step that we can take, and it's one of a number of steps that we need to take going forward to address that problem, because if we don't take those steps, those consequences are going to only worsen. So I am, again, very pleased with what we're doing, and I'm so happy that we have such a great partner in Senator Biaggi to take those steps and to move forward and doing the things that we can do to address that problem, that huge challenge. And so with that, I would like to, it's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Alessandra Biaggi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lemons. Thank you. Good morning, Lehman. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today. If you were watching me, I have a smile on my face from ear to ear, and that's just because I have so much pride for being able to represent this college and this community. And before I begin and get into, of course, why we are all here today, and I know everyone is also very cold, so I've been known to speak very quickly, and I will try my best to do it right now, too. My mother and my grandmother were actually graduates of Lehman College. So it's really just, yes, Lehman is in my family, and I feel a kindred connection to not only this community, but all of the people who, of course, come here and visit here and also understand what the importance of Lehman is, not only in the Bronx, not only in New York City, but across New York State and ultimately across the country, because Lehman College is actually leading the way in so many things. So I would like to begin like I always do, which is to extend my gratitude to Lehman College President, of course, Dr. Lemons. Thank you so much for his commitment to elevating environmental sustainability and justice throughout the college, and most importantly, throughout the Bronx, which is a community and a borough that has seen more environmental justice issues, I think, than any other place in the entire country. So having that commitment is very, very meaningful. I also want to thank Renee Rotolo, Vice President, of course, of Administration and Finance, for her work to move this critical project forward. We could not be here without you today, of course. And acknowledge Ilona Linens, Director of the Office of Environmental Health and Safety, and her students that are here today who've spearheaded this existing composting initiative. And of course, Jody Colon, New York City Compost and Project Manager at NYBG. And of course, Aaron, who is in the corner over there. I also want to just take a moment and say really thank you to all of the students who are here, especially because it is the students and the young people and the generation even before myself. I know I am young, but there are those who are younger who are leading the way and are going to be the leaders of this climate crisis. And without them, we would not be able to be going towards the direction where I think we are importantly headed, which is a direction to save this planet and make sure that every single inch that we are taking towards climate justice and climate change is one in a positive direction. And so we have so much to be thankful for all of the students who are here today and who will be joining us hopefully later. Climate change is the most pressing issue of our time. The impact of the rising seas, extreme weather, sweltering temperatures, they're only going to get worse. And I can just say from experience that before I was a New York State Senator, I was an attorney in the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, an office which was set up and created after Hurricane Sandy hit New York. The experience there taught me that not only do we need to make sure our communities are resilient, but that these storms are going to keep happening if we don't take a step in the direction of making sure that we are protecting our communities, protecting our planet. In the last year, New York State has stepped up to the challenge, thankfully, and they're finally emerging as a real leader in the fight against climate change, and I can say that confidently. In 2019, I was a proud sponsor of the CLCPA, which is an acronym for the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. This was and is considered the most aggressive climate protection bill in the entire country and is one of the leaders in the entire world. The legislation will require New York State to achieve an 85% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, with the goal of achieving 100% reduction thereafter. It's aggressive, and it's also essential. But right here in the Bronx, Lehman College has already been doing the work, as you heard Dr. Lemons speak about that, and also making sure that District 34's carbon footprint is as minimal as possible. Lehman has incorporated a robust sustainability strategy to improve efficiency in resources and reduce campus methane emissions for more than 2 decades. Think about that, 2 decades. Everybody talks about climate change today, but Lehman College was thinking about this issue and taking a massive step towards dealing with this issue 2 decades ago. The college has been composting, as you've heard, up to 60 tons of waste. That's incredible. 60 tons of waste annually to nourish green spaces on campus and community gardens across the entire borough. To further the impact of this critical effort, I'm so honored and truly so excited to be able to award Lehman College with a $340,000 grant in capital funding to see their project move forward in the direction that we know it can go in, which is to lead, really, all of the sustainability projects in the Bronx. I know that this funding will be vital to installing operating equipment, including a front loader, a sifter, and windrows for composting, gardening, and food waste. These are all words I've just learned, so please, forgive me. But this is what it's all about. You learn as you go. Creating a centralized program for compost education with the proper infrastructure to improve Lehman's existing operation is the most important step. And instead of reading the rest of these bullets here, I just want to really say, there isn't enough we can all do together, and for anybody who's either reading the words I'm saying or watching the words I'm saying or hearing the words that I'm saying and feels cynical about the way in which the world is addressing climate change, every single inch matters, and all of those inches add up to make sure that we can actually make a meaningful difference, not only in the borough of the Bronx or the state of New York or the United States of America, but in this entire world, because every single one of us plays a very important role, a very powerful role in making sure that we actually protect this planet to pass it on for generations to come. So I am very grateful to play a small inch of a role in taking that step forward for all of us together in community. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Wow, thank you so much, Senator Biaggi. We are ecstatic to be able to advance our composting program at Lehman, and we'll be able to do that because of your generous grant. We're also able to do that because of the next two individuals I want you to meet, for whom composting is not simply part of their jobs, but literally a labor of love. Jody Colon of the New York City Composting Project at the New York Botanical Garden began partnering with us here at Lehman many years ago. But over the past several years, with the New York City Compost Project as our partner in our annual composting awareness event, Pumpkin Smash, which is fun, educational, and very therapeutic, because we really do smash pumpkins. Jody is not just our partner, she is also a member of and a very dear friend to this community. Jody, please join me.
I don't know if you noticed, but Renee and I just cannot stop smiling. My face hurts so much. Thank you for your kind remarks. Senator Biaggi has been a great friend of the New York Botanical Garden, and thank you so much for being such a great friend to Lehman College and being so generous to them. You are actually helping them make their dreams come true. Dr. Lemons, last time I saw you, we were selecting your pumpkin to hurl off the precipice over there. I am so pleased to be here today to represent the New York Botanical Garden and the NYC Compost Project. Our program is fully funded by the Department of Sanitation. They are here today as well. And it's also through their generosity that we've been able to do some of the amazing work with our partners here. Today is a wonderful example of what can happen when partners, not just institutionally, but individually, dream big together. We heard about how there's a lot of cynicism about what we could do for climate change. Well, Lehman is a place of hope. We stood out at the compost facility maybe 6 years ago and said, this could be a compost education center, and then sat down and made a plan to make that happen. And the people at Lehman College have worked so hard behind the scenes. This is the most I've heard Renee speak ever. It's also very gratifying to me personally because 20 years ago, as a brand new master composter volunteer trained by the New York Botanical Garden, I stood in the parking lot and gave compost out made by sanitation to the community. And 20 years later, to be here and see that we've been able to move you forward, to be a shining example of sustainability in a way that very few colleges are doing. I talk with a lot of colleges across the country, and they're very student-focused. They try to bring their students along with sustainability. But from the very first time I asked Renee for, how would you feel if I brought 500 pumpkins from the Botanical Garden here and we hurled them off something? Her answer was like, I'll build you a 10-foot tall catapult. That's a great partner. But from the very first time that we started thinking about what more could be done here, the talk was about community. How do we bring people onto the campus? How do we build people's awareness of things that they could actually do that have an impact and make a difference? And what a privilege and honor to be able to dream big with all of these partners, and our volunteers are here and all of you, to make real change in the place that we live. So the Botanical Garden and the NYC Compost Project, we've helped create experiments on the lawns here. We've done pumpkin smash. We've done the compost cafeteria composting. We opened a food scrap drop-off spot. So having these wonderful partners that I'm like, hey, what would you think if we did this? And they're like, let's go bigger, is a rare thing. So we are so proud and so pleased to be here, and so excited that you're gonna make our dreams come true. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce another person who is behind the scenes, and no one really knows how hard she works. Where is she? Alona. Alona Linens, the Director of Environmental Health and Safety. Alona is a passionate and determined advocate on campus to continue to move them forward. She is processing those food scraps. She is out at the site being like, we could be better. And I kept telling her, we will get there, we will get there. So your determination and hope has helped us get here. And I'm so pleased to have all of you as not just partners, but as friends. So, so Lorna, please come up and let's hear from you.
Thanks, Jody. You know, a lot of my interest in compost, because I initially resisted it, it was due to Jody. Now I love doing compost. It's actually a very enjoyable process, but most of the time the process is hidden from view. And so my students, Joshua Palomino and we're going to walk you through the process that's often hidden away. This is how we process food scraps into compost. So I just wanted to walk you through the process here. So any composting process takes some kind of brown material like leaves or wood chips. In our case, leaves, because that's what we have 35 tons of, and about an equal amount of greens, and they're using the food scraps. These are food scraps from our weekly food scrap drop-off, and also from our cafeteria kitchen. We collect at least 70 pounds of food scraps, just food preparation scraps. It's not that they're wasting food, from the kitchen. And mix it together with leaves in one of these containers, and I'll let them get to that point. So these are just leaves from our campus that have been chopped up. That's it. Then they're mixed together. And this is where volunteer labor is very helpful, and it's actually quite enjoyable. And also, it really is. Trust me, it is. It's rather enjoyable. So the greens and the browns in approximately equal proportions are mixed together, and then placed into one of these, into the compost bin or into the rocket. The rocket is our first piece of equipment that we had here since 2009, and it's a closed system for processing food scraps plus some leaves or wood chips. And after a couple of weeks, it turns out almost complete, almost finished compost. And I'm sorry, my face is starting to freeze.
Smiling.
And smiling too much.
First Wednesday after Halloween. Yeah, it's good.
So we also have over here, every week, we collect food scraps from anybody in the Lehman College community or the neighborhood, and we also process those food scraps. So then once we have the material mixed up, we go into the first. This is a bin of new material. It's only about a week to a week and a half old. The newest materials is just from yesterday, and it almost immediately starts the composting process. You'll start to see a lot of steam coming out of here, and that's just because it gets up to temperature immediately. The first phase of the composting process is what's called the hot phase, and there's a whole ecosystem of microorganisms that are active during this phase, and that's good. So you see how hot it is. You can actually scald your hands on this through gloves. It gets that hot, and even in this kind of weather. So it's throughout the year. So and then we also have the rocket, which is essentially, actually these two types of equipment are essentially equivalent. That just has an automatic turning device in it, and so you just pour it in and leave. But this needs to be churned up. Okay, and Josh, why don't you open up that other bin? Thank you. And that's really it. That's all that needs to be done. Within about 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, we fill this bin, and we let it just sit there for a while, and then it turns into it finishes going through the hot phase, and then it starts the cold phase, which is in the second bin. So if you could just remove the front part from that second bin. You see how it. So after it goes through the hot phase, it enters the cold phase. Somehow worms find their way into the bin. The bottom is open, so I guess they come in through the bottom, or they may be in the leaves at first. And can you remove the front from that? The front panel of the bin, just to see how much lower it is. So the first bin will be filled up several times because the level immediately goes down, and then it cools down, and the volume is decreased. And that's it. We just leave it there for a couple of weeks, and then after that, it does not need to be in this bin, so it's left in a pile that's covered with a tarp. And the next spring, about half a year, it turns into finished compost, and Josh is going to bring the finished material over here. And even at that point, there are no recognizable food scraps. They've all been consumed by the process. They've been entirely consumed. They feed this process. And then the finished material is like this. It's something like, it's mostly like coffee grounds. This material here is about 1 year old, and it's ready to use. And I don't handle it again after that. So, now that you've seen an overview of the process, please participate in the food scrap drop-off if you want. I'll give you a tour of our composting facility, and maybe you'd like to volunteer to participate in actually composting materials. Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. And again, thank you so much, Senator Biaggi.